The moderator, which is Krishna. Andavolu.
Yeah.
Yay! Okay, so I've got that right. He's the host and he's the executive producer of Media, which is a series that's part of the Vice Media Group, and it chronicles the science, the politics, the culture, and the economics of cannabis in this sort of once-in-a-lifetime generational shift that we see. There's 26 episodes, as I understand, and it's covered everything from cannabis and PTSD, equity in business, the beginnings of our international supply chain, very interesting. And it's really a collection that looks at the unlikely portrait of what we're starting to see as North Americans, what we value and also what we punish. And so with that, we're really, really privileged to have Krishna here to introduce the panel, take you through this set, and then also the screening of Meet the People.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you. Meet the People as a film has been sort of orbiting around my head for the last 3 or 4 years. Like the first episode of Ricki we did was about cancer children and cannabis as a potential therapeutic option, not just a palliative option. And so we talked to Tracy, and Tracy was like, "Oh, I'm making this film with Epstein and Ricki, and I was just like, "Oh crap, like we're done." And so they got some, like, what I remember is that Tracy said, "We can't have your crew come and follow us in the hospital because that's Abby and Ricki's stuff." So they got the good stuff, is what I'm saying. So I'm really excited to see the film after we do this introductory panel. And so I'll just do quick introductions, and then I don't know, I'll just start off with you guys. I'm interested to hear about why you made this film, what it was like to make this film, how the science has, like the story's happening as you're making it, and that's kind of what you want in a documentary. So I hope to not talk again in this panel. So all the way over there, we got Ricki Lake, and we've got Abby Epstein, executive producers, filmmakers. They've made incredible films that have changed the way people think, including Business of Being Born, and of course, Meet the People, which we'll see. And there's Dr. Dedi Meiri, which I've never met you before. Hi, Doctor. Good to meet you. Yeah. But I've heard a lot about your work through Tracy, who is a character in the film, as well as someone who's kind of pushing the issues forward in industry, science, etc. She brings it all together. So let's start with Meet the People. Like Ricki, Abby, tell me about how it happened. How did you guys why did you make the film?
Okay, so I get to go, huh? But I'm going to be succinct about it because I tend to go long-winded about it. So my beloved husband, Krishna, who died sadly 22 months ago today, he was struggling with a lot of chronic pain and other emotional issues, and he was researching cannabis. This was back in 2011, 2012. He was bedbound a lot, and he was finding CBD and finding all these different things that nobody seemed to know about. At the same time, I was on a show called Dancing with the Stars, and a little girl, her mom reached out to me via social media, and we started a friendship, and she was going through chemotherapy, and for some strange reason, unbeknownst to me, I moved her and her family into my house for 6 weeks. I moved her from an illegal state to California and was going on this journey to find integrative care, including cannabis for her. Took her on a private jet, called Abby and said, she lives in New York, I'm in LA, I said, "You're not going to believe the latest chapter of my life. I'm bringing this little girl to see a cannabis doctor up in Mendocino." And she's like, "Wait, I think this is our next film," and that was the start of Meet the People.
Wow.
And that family is not in the film, but that's what led us to Tracy and Sophie and all the other characters. And it's 6 years in the making.
Wow.
And the timing, it's like the movie came out the same week that it became legal in Canada, literally. So it's just, it's beshert. It means meant to be. And it's been just this incredible ride, and now we're just, it's thrilling for us to come to a conference like this and to be able to present it to the people that are making the medicine, and it's really thrilling.
Yeah, as a documentary filmmaker, you want to see something happen. It's about seeing a journey that characters take, and when the world is also changing, as it has been with cannabis and its legality and its science, like that element must have given the film a lot of impulsive energy. Abby, just take me through that. Like, what did you see? How did you have to pivot? Like, where was it? It must have just.
I think it's interesting because people often ask, like, why did you choose to make this film? And Ricki told you the inception story, but I think a lot of times as artists or as filmmakers, the stories choose you. And I'm not sure why this story chose us and chose Christian, because we were not people in the cannabis space. We're completely cannabis naive. I would say that I was actually cannabis negative from my experiences in high school and college, and having mostly terrible, frightening experiences experimenting. So I was very skeptical and biased. I would say I was pretty biased. And I think that's kind of, sometimes when you start a movie, like when Ricki and I did our movie, The Business of Being Born, natural childbirth, Ricki had had this experience using midwives, having natural birth. I had never been pregnant, and I was like, I'm kidding, I'm the epidural girl. No, but I was like, who would not go to a hospital and like get an epidural on the way in? Like, who would not take advantage of like hard drugs? And so I went into that film as a complete skeptic, and like, of course, by the time I had my kid, was like, oh, I want to do a home birth with a midwife, and I was completely turned around, because of course it was nothing that I had preconceived it to be. And I think with this topic, it was exactly the same. It was like all my preconceptions about stoners and just about psychedelics and drugs and abuse, and it all really got shattered. And I think it was through meeting people. Like, I remember when we first came across Dedi Meiri at the Technion many years ago. I would like to say this disclaimer before Dedi says it, but the science in the film, when we shot him many years ago, is very outdated to where he is now. But I will say, meeting people like Dedi, it was almost like, that's what convinced us this film needed to be made. Because nobody understood that there were top cancer biologists at the Technion looking at cannabinoids and cancer. Nobody knew this. And, I think as a filmmaker, it's like that's what you're looking for. You're looking to pull back the curtain and just turn people's expectations around. And it was the same, I think, with the decision to focus on children in the film. And when we met Tracy and her daughter Sophie, who was 9 months old, it was the same thing. It was like, here is a mother who is giving this to her baby. That's like how safe, this medication can be, this plant can be. So it was really, I think, so much about our own learning journey.
Interesting, yeah.
And it was almost like legitimizing this to ourselves, as we were putting the story together.
And I think the idea that cannabis can be a therapeutic medicine for cancer gives a lot of people hope.
Yes.
And what's interesting, and I think when you tell stories, especially science stories, the tension between hope and skepticism is kind of like a propulsive element in a sense. So it must have been interesting to have sort of the two sides of the coin kind of rubbing against each other. That makes no sense.
Yeah.
But Dr. Dedi, you're a scientist, you're a researcher. By nature, you're a skeptic.
Yeah.
So tell us about the work, if you can, that you've been doing and how it sort of fit into the film. What was it like?
Okay, first of all, I want to say what Abby started to say, or your question was, how things change, and this is the commentary movie. In this field, it's moving so fast. The differences are so fast. Being in conference 2 years ago, it was totally different population sitting there. Okay, believe me, you have I don't see anyone with rastas on his hair. The field changed totally, and it's amazing to look on this movie and to see where we were 3 years ago and where we are now. It's for me, it's embarrassing. That's what I think that I'm doing. It's embarrassing, but it's amazing. I'm always saying it's like a dog years. Every year it's 7, so we are 30 years ago with this movie. So it's amazing how it changed. And I started very skeptical. I'm also cannabis naive. My parents both had a stroke when I finished the army, and I worked in the fields. I didn't have cool years of college. And I'm still with my same girlfriend from high school, so it's also not cool years. So I didn't have these years with cannabis. So I was totally naive, totally against, and I started as a cannabis. It's a compound that's binding a receptor, and it's activating it. And again, 3 years ago when I came to the hospitals to speak with one of the physicians who want to collaborate, he told me on my dead body. Okay?
Wow.
A year ago, he invited me to give a talk in the hospital, and then he said, "How come we are not collaborating?" This is the differences that happen. I'm coming to the hospitals and I'm giving a talk, and the physicians are still skeptical. But in the level of the science and to understand it in the depth, I'm starting the talk, and I always, it's the same joke always. Did you brought samples? Yes. It's like everybody's very funny and very, and there is the time in the talk. It doesn't matter which one, where it's exactly, that I know that I have them. That's it. I convince them that this is real, and we need to do the work.
Well, I guess the question I would have is that you think about cancer therapy, it's moving on a lot of fronts. Immunotherapy is like big, there's always been advances in cancer therapy. Where does sort of cannabis as a potential therapeutic element rank, I suppose, in that process? Because I think, yes, we're at a cannabis conference, yes, we believe that cannabis should be legal and it has therapeutic benefits, but, at what point, I question just the concept of sort of confirmation bias on it, which is we love weed, so of course it does great stuff. From your standpoint as a scientist, as someone who works in the cancer field, where does it rank, I guess, is the question.
So cannabis helps in many, many indications. There are things that are clear. You have a kid with 80 seizures a day, he tried all the medicines that we can offer him, he's starting to take cannabis and seizure-free. There is no question about that.
Sure.
In cancer, we are very far. That's reality. Unfortunately, I don't see. So here and there, you see, patient that it's helping them. But I'm in Israel, you're touching a stone and it's a miracle, and then you're fighting 2,000 years of it. So I saw people that have miracles not just in cannabis, but if you look at the percentage, it's not far from that. Okay, it's not far from the 1% success that we have in going and praying to God. And maybe, I don't want to be not religious, but there are many things that we can do, and on the placebo it can help. In cannabis, we don't see better success for now. And the question is why? And the answer why, I have many reasons. Do we really need to be able to find the right cannabis to the right cancer, as I'm trying to show? I'm not sure about that. Does it because most of the patients that taking cannabis as a treatment, not as a palliative care to reduce pain or to increase appetite. As a treatment, usually they're taking it after they tried everything, and they already have metastasis, and whatever you do, it won't help them. So what is the reason that the cannabis is still not in the percentage that we want to see? I don't know, but reality for now, it's not a good treatment.
Interesting. But it's changing, and that seems like part of how the story is told. So Tracy, we met long time ago, and we've sort of seen each other a lot, which has been really cool. But so tell me, as a character in this film, as someone who's living this, I think we all understand how high the stakes are, what it means on a personal level, how we love our families, and how when our family members are sick, that it can devastate them. What's making this film, living the life that you led? Take us through what that's like. It's a broad question, but...
Yeah, well, it's a long answer, so I'll try to keep it short. First, I always just have to give credit to these ladies because I don't know where my daughter would be today if they had not brought cannabis into my life. I was a big skeptic. My husband and I looked at everything but cannabis. We had a bunch of people contact us through social media. We thought they were stoned out of their minds trying to tell us to use weed on a 9-month-old. And it was these ladies that brought me the science and the confidence to research it on my own. And what we've seen with my daughter has been nothing short of miraculous, time after time after time after time. Now, have we been able to completely eradicate her disease? No. Her disease has an 85% recurrence rate. So with these types of tumors, it's a 90% survival rate, but they keep recurring. year after year after year. I've seen children have to be on treatment for as much as 13 years because there's just no new drugs for this type of tumor because it's otherwise survivable. This isn't a stage 4 cancer. But what it has done is it's allowed us to keep her healthy. Not only has it allowed us to keep her healthy, we have shrank a tumor that they never otherwise thought would shrink as much as this one had. So we were able to retain a lot of her vision when they otherwise gave us a 100% chance of her going blind. We've watched her have 9 blood transfusions, and 4 months before she was supposed to get off that protocol, she stopped needing blood transfusions, what the doctor said was medically impossible, and they gave the credit to cannabis. We recently had to start a new chemotherapy protocol, and the doctor asked us to take her off of medicine just for the first few days to make sure there were no drug-drug interactions. Within less than 48 hours, she started seizing and had 10 seizures in 2 days. We put her back on the cannabis. We upped her anti-seizure medicine. That didn't fix it. Put her back on the cannabis, and all the seizures went away. We've watched her get brain tumor surgery where they cut her from here to here, where she would normally have black swollen eyes and swelling around the top of her head and be in the hospital 3 to 5 days and out of school 1 to 2 weeks. The kid had not a bruise on her whole face. She had no signs of visible swelling, was released from the hospital in less than 48 hours and told she could go back to school in 1 to 2 days, which the doctors also could not understand. But I've seen this happen in just more than one child. Because of the film, I created Canna Kids, which we've now serviced thousands and thousands of patients all over California. We now consult patients all over the world. We have raised the funds the last 2 years for Dedi's research. Dedi and I are in partnership now. And we also have 8 of our patients being studied at one of the top Southern California universities with one of the leading cancer research scientists in the world, where Sophie's brain tumor is growing in mice that pump real human blood, therefore making their immune systems almost identical to ours. So these 2 caused all that.
It's amazing.
And the way that it's changed my life. The way that this has taken a situation for my family and I, where we woke up every day feeling like we were going through a death because our lives and our child's life had been robbed of us. To have this kind of silver lining and to be able to touch people and know that we've helped so many, especially with autism and epilepsy, side effects from chemotherapy. We have had some miraculous occurrences. You'll see AJ in the film. He was one of Canna Kids' patients. It didn't make sense sequentially with the timing to call him a Canna Kids patient in the movie, but we actually treated him from the very beginning, and he's now 3.5 years past his expiration date, when otherwise his cancer recurred 6 times in 3 years on chemotherapy. They couldn't keep him cancer-free. And now he's one of the young men that we're studying with my research scientist in California, and we're finding the same thing in his blood as we are my daughter's blood, and also another little girl who was terminal, who's been alive 3 years past her expiration date. And so now we've got all these other patients that we're looking at in varying stages of disease.
So it's sort of like it's snowballing. What's so interesting is the confluence of like the patient story, the life story of the people affected, in both cases, Ricki and yours, of the industry insofar as that you guys are in business together trying to push this forward, and science and development, which is to say, some of the smartest minds in the world, finally having their hands on these plants and seeing what these chemicals are, and storytelling. Mm-hmm. And I think like that, like what I see from you people is the confluence of like the 3. I mean, I guess there's no politicians on this table, but we're the ones who, we're the ones who are creating this change by telling the stories and like living the lived experience and doing the hard research. So I think there's something really special about how not only did you make a film, and I'm really excited to see it, but that it's propelling something forward. And that's the big thing is like changing the world. And I think one thing you guys have done, and I haven't seen your first film, but I know it well because it's permeated the culture that I've grown up in, which is to say the business of being born, like you have autonomy over your body as a woman, like don't trust the institutions that tell you X, Y, and Z because they might be wrong. And there might be a monetary incentive to sort of reify their hormones. So I guess my question back to the filmmakers in a sense is like, how does this film fit into like the overall project of what you guys have been doing in media?
Well, I mean, each of the films we make, for me, it's about informed choice. I'm the layperson. I'm not the person with the answers. I'm really curious as to why things are the way they are. And so there's a through line, with the business of being born. I was blown away by the fact that women that I really respected, that are super well educated and tapped in, didn't give a shit about how their babies were born. What? And so it was foreign to me. And so it's the same kind of thing here. It's like through the process of making this film, we've learned so much. we need to be deprogrammed about this plant, you know, in a major way. And so, yeah, through personal stories, through, you know, you can't help it. Your heart breaks for these families and what they're going through, but it's also hopeful. And so, yeah, with our next film, which is also, you know, coming in the next year, it's on hormonal birth control.
Mm-hmm.
So we're really gonna, if we didn't piss off Big Pharma this time around, we'll go without us.
Is there anyone from Big Pharma? Not yet.
You can say that.
You want to add on this?
Oh yeah, I was just going to say exactly. Like I think, you know, our films on some level are about this advocacy. Like you could look at Read the People and say it's really not about pot. You could look at The Business of Being Born and say it's really not about birth, right? It's really about the government or institutions telling you what you can or cannot do with your body, how you're allowed to heal, how you're allowed to treat your babies. It's really about personal autonomy, research, and advocacy. And I think unless you shift the consciousness on a ground level, because you can't start from the top down. You can't just sit and show this to all the legislators and show this movie, you know, to all the decision makers and think that, oh, it's going to filter down. You have to start on the bottom. You have to shift consciousness. And I think, you know, one of the things we've done with this film, in June we were invited to go to Oklahoma City. They had their referendum on medical cannabis happening in June, and we were invited to come do a bunch of press, screen the film, which we did, and then a local movie theater said, can I keep the film, and I'm just going to run it on Monday, all day,
wow,
to the public. And, you know, they ended up passing the referendum, which is amazing, but the audiences in Oklahoma City, you know, they were terrified at the end of the screening. Like, it was almost like not a Q&A. It was like us trying to ask them questions. And it was incredible, actually, because you could see, like, I remember I asked them, I said, well, you know, because some of them had said they were, like, turned around 180 degrees from when they came in the door. And I said, well, what were some of the things that helped you? What were some of the things in the film that helped you get around this? And they said, well, it's good you mentioned God a lot.
yeah.
And, you know, it was funny because I was like, well, we didn't mean to mention God a lot. These are real people. We have no control over what they say. These happen to be very God-fearing families that were in the film, but that really helped them, you know, get around this. And, you know, I mean, to your point, I just met someone who was at the screening last night who just talked to me about bringing this to her church. And,
wow,
you know, I think that's where this film needs to be. It needs to be shown in school, in community, in religious institutions, because it's where we are right now as a society. I think it's where we are with the environment, with Big Pharma. It's everything.
this is
It's
sort of
like,
consciousness change
an
about autonomy
elevation.
of the body, autonomy
yes.
of...
It's a human rights issue.
Yes.
Right.
And also, I think, you know, we have this whole thing now, right, about, like, science, right? I mean, we have a president who denies science.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So...
You don't, we do.
Okay.
You know, and I think that Dedi brings up a really good point in the sense that in the film, I don't think I'm spoiling anything for those of you who've seen it or haven't seen it, there's no clinical proof in this film. There's nothing in this film that proves that cannabis cures cancer, nothing. There's, you know, maybe parents in the film who say, I believe this saved my child's life, but, you know, we can't make a clinical case. But our point is, how outrageous is it if this could be true, and we are not researching this, and we are, instead of not researching this, we are actually blocking people from researching this and putting people in jail who are trying to, you know, heal their children by administering this to them. I mean, it's sort of like you're positing this outrageous question, but certainly, you know, in no way is it a film that, you know, is trying to, like, make the case, you know.
But in a sense, I mean, not to say that it doesn't matter, but as far as the lived experience of characters, or the people who are trying to find hope in a bleak setting, in a time in our lives where like hope is hard to come by. And I think like the way I sort of read it is it does matter if cannabis does cure cancer, but in a lot of ways it doesn't matter because it means that we're at least asking the right questions. Like mustard gas, like that became some of the early treatments of chemotherapy. It was an accident. So this is something that might be just lying beneath our noses and have this immense potential. So I'd like to, I think we're almost out of time before the film, and maybe there's some people who aren't going to be able to stay for the film because it's a networking event, etc. So to the filmmakers, how can you see this film? How can you watch it?
You just gave us the pitch.
I know.
So guys, if you want to see the film, you can go to weedthepeoplemovie.com. Weedthepeoplemovie.com. You can host a screening for your companies, for your communities, and it will be coming out on digital on iTunes the end of January, and then it will be launching on Netflix worldwide on 4/20.
Woohoo!
I think a film like this, and especially because our title is sort of cheeky and fun, people may not understand that this is a really serious film about medical cannabis. So just having it like available on iTunes or whatever, Netflix, it doesn't really help us drive audiences toward it. So what we're really looking for are individuals, hopefully in this room at this conference, who are interested in furthering this. Like we and they can watch it together virtually, and people can like comment and chat during the movie, and then you can have experts do a Skype, like a Q&A panel after. So I think we have some really, really great ways and platforms to get the film out there, but our problem is that like a lot of you might have experienced, we've been incredibly blocked by Facebook. The algorithms suppress. Though even the theater last night that hosted it here in Vancouver, she had a horrible time. Even after we got her ad cleared by Facebook, she still said that it didn't reach people because of the
title.
Weed in the title. Yeah, so we don't have, we've experienced a lot of bias even in the media about this film. It's been unpredictable. Like Time.com did a great piece, but then the New York Times completely ignored the film, didn't review it. So we need help. We have no budget. We have zero marketing budget.
Mama doesn't host a talk show anymore.
No, there is. Yes, we do not have a
by choice.
Yes.
By choice.
Ricki and I don't have a product. We don't have a brand.
We're not invested in this
We're
industry.
not invested in the industry.
We're open.
Yes. We're for sale. We don't. We don't have a patron who's writing, signing checks for us. So it's literally like running a charity, running this film. So we're doing outreach. We're still trying to get grants. We're still trying to raise money to do an impact and outreach campaign to get the film to medical professionals, nursing schools, oncologists, hospitals. It's still a very viral effort. And I think sometimes people, see pictures of us on a red carpet and they're like, oh my God, the film's so successful, how great. It's really tough. Like making these films, it's really tough. It's like endless fundraising, and then to try to reach a mass audience, it takes
a village.
Yeah, so it takes everyone in this room, it takes everyone at the conference, it sort of just takes the...
And this movie helps all of us.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Debbie's like twisting around.
I'm thinking about Sugar Daddy because never mind.
Sugar Daddy? Sugar Daddy?
Sugar
Sugar Daddy. I have just the name.
That was lost in translation, but we all got Sugar Daddy. Sugar Daddy.
Anyway, what I want to say, what I learned in the last 4 years is the potential of this plant. I don't know, people say about this plant that is doing everything. I have a guy that came to my lab 4 months ago with a machine that if you put cannabis on this and put it on your head, it will grow hair. I asked him if you want me as a presenter. It won't grow hair, it's doing the opposite.
I'll buy the show.
Yeah, so cannabis is not doing everything, but you have amazing potential to change lives. And in cancer, it's have an amazing potential to be another tool in the specific types of cancer to help patients with not a toxic effect.
Yeah.
And I don't know what will be real or not, we'll see in a few years, but it's our duty as a community, as a scientist, as a physician, as a filmmaker, to bring it to the knowledge, to do the research, and to find it, and to give it the option to the patient. I think what this movie is doing, and these conferences or these kind of things, they opened our minds, or the people, and then the people that take the decision, that we need to do it. And you see the change happening in the last year, how the government started to give money for research, and how people are more and more and more open. And I think this movie is extremely important in open mind about the option. No, it's not saying that this is a treatment. It's saying we must check this option. We must be open to that. And for that is extremely important what Abby just said, that it's our duty. It's not just my duty to do the research. It's our duty as a community to pass this message away. And that's in everyone's hands. It's not just us.
Yeah, and I think to just have the last word, I'm sorry, Tracy. There's something special about the cannabis community, and like I kind of backed into it, didn't realize I would become a part of it or a face of it in any way. But I think the way that we as a community of individuals rally around values that are universal, we think, but oftentimes not as present as they should be in our governments, in our healthcare institutions, in our businesses. And so I think like we have the opportunity as a community to really change the way the status quo works. And it's happening, and like we're in Canada, and it's fucking legal here, so this kind of panel gives me hope that like people of different skill sets and ideas and lived experiences can come together to change shit. So thank you guys so much. I'm really excited to see the film.
Yeah, I hope you guys stick around and watch the movie. Thank you so much for having us.
Filming in here, or screening in here, right?
Here's that screen right there also. Okay.
No, we're gonna sit right here.
If Justin is still in the room from this morning's panel, can you just see me at the back?
Yeah, Ricki's from heaven.
You just have to movie over, no?
Did you get one for your phone? Okay, and they start
This would be the gift from God to her. I think he's got cancer. Look what goes out the window, really. You need to get them well, and you need to do everything that you can to make them well. And I wouldn't feel right if I didn't explore everything that